Thank you very much for this opportunity just to come before the council and talk about the vision and some transformative things I believe that Tulsa definitely can use. Since I'm not from Tulsa originally, my perspective on Tulsa may be a little bit different than everyone else. I think Tulsa is a great city, and I oftentimes mention that Tulsa to me is almost where Portland was about 30 years ago. It doesn't mean that's a bad thing. It just means that it's just in a different place than a lot of other cities, which I believe has a great opportunity for some things. One of the things, my proposal is real simple. It's called the Greenwood Walking Tour and Streetscape. It's basically attracting tourists to the Greenwood district. And oftentimes, since I'm not from Tulsa, I look at the rich history of the Greenwood, and the first thing I'm looking at is saying, man, I come to the city, I would think that, wow, there should be some monuments, some memorials, but you go there and it looks like almost nothing really is there. So I start thinking about that with this Vision 2025 fund, and how interesting it would be to have some real destination point tying into downtown. Since it's just right there, you have all these people going to the ball field, and it could be a great tie-in for the rest of downtown. As you see, I don't know if you can see on the screen, you currently have just a small plaques in the ground, and that was, I guess, done several years ago by the funding that was that they had in order to highlight where some of the businesses were in Tulsa, some of the Black Wall Street businesses. In the future, I guess that's the wrong one, but that's okay though. I'll just go ahead and talk from here. The future in terms of having some placards and some streetscaping to represent kind of where the city can go in terms of where it would be in the newer 2015 in terms of how it could actually look. Now, one of the things that's interesting to me is that the majority of Tulsans and tourists aren't aware of the Greenwood area, the heritage, the rich heritage of Greenwood. Also, the Greenwood has a unique story, and I think it definitely should be told. Next slide, there you go. And as we know, in about 6 years will be the 100-year anniversary of the Tulsa race rides. But I'm not here to highlight so much the Tulsa race rides, but I'm here to highlight the rich history of the true entrepreneurial spirit of the Greenwood or Black Wall Street. Next slide, please. What I'm seeking is $11.5 million for the Greenwood Walking Tour and Street Beautification. And what that basically is, I'm looking at is having statues, having the street really be world class, where people come to Tulsa and say, man, this is one of the best walking tours that I've ever seen. Because other cities have an element of what they call the Black Wall Street, but the actual Black Wall Street was here in Tulsa, and I think Tulsa could really step up and have it where it's a go-to destination as part of downtown as well. Now, next slide. The walking tour, as we said, we want to tell the history of Greenwood. And looking at the next slide, this is kind of what I envision, where you're having more or less an entry point at the Greenwood, Archer and Greenwood, as maybe on Greenwood and Pine, and then coming into OSU land as well, where you have a definite arch where it says, you know, welcome to the Greenwood district. That way it can be a notoriety and a walking point as well. Next slide, please. As you see, entering Greenwood, you want to have some type of structure, some street beautification where people can take their families and walk and learn about the great rich history of the Greenwood district as well. Next slide, please. Looking, what I envision for this, at this particular juncture, looking north down Greenwood, and in the middle there you would have basically some type of statue, and I envision having maybe 6 statues or 4 to 6 statues going down Greenwood, in which you can walk through and learn about the history, about the people who came here, escaping Jim Crow and all these other issues. They came here looking to make their mark in Tulsa and do some great things. Next slide, please. Drive around statues is kind of what I envision. They're at Greenwood and Archer. They're right in the bend of where the OSU Tulsa is, and further down Greenwood as well, where people can walk or drive around those particular statues. As well as having a Black Wall Street directory, so when people are walking, they can say, okay, Jimmy Bean's bakery was once here, or whatever the case is. And so that way people can actually see what was actually here. Next slide, okay, and a place to reflect. Obviously, a place where someone can look and read and reflect on what these men and women had to go through despite the great opposition that they had, and as well as placards where these placards are, some of these placards are actually where the actual businesses were. So in essence, the Black Wall Street, I think, would be a great envision to have some beautification going on there and have it really be a go-to destination for Tulsa as it ties into the rest of the downtown area.